Hi everyone, I'm Logo political correspondent Raymond Braun, and I have had the honor of covering LGBTQ issues in the 2016 election cycle for Logo. For many people, the presidential result was a surprise, a shock to many, and perhaps one of the biggest political upsets that we've ever seen in our country's history. At Logo, we've focused on this election through the prism of LGBTQ issues. So let's talk about what this means moving forward for LGBTQ people. Unlike his opponent, Donald Trump never released an LGBTQ platform. He didn't talk about any policies for LGBTQ people. He didn't have an LGBTQ outreach director, and he really didn't center LGBTQ voices in his campaign. There were very few, if any, official LGBTQ surrogates, and it just didn't appear to be an issue that he cared to explore or to champion while he was running. And so the question now is, where does he stand, and to what extent will he adopt the horrifically anti-LGBTQ platforms of the Republican Party platform and also of his vice presidential running mate? Mike Pence has a demonstrated record of anti-LGBTQ discrimination. As governor of Indiana, he passed legislation that would allow people to discriminate against LGBTQ folks on the basis of religious freedom. This was a piece of legislation that many people consider to be one of the catalysts for the rash of anti-LGBTQ bills that we saw sprout up throughout the country. Many LGBTQ people are feeling upset, demoralized, scared, and just sad about the results of the election, but there are some bright spots for us to celebrate, and boy, is this one bright. In North Carolina, Governor Pat McCrory championed HB 2, which will go down in history as one of the most notoriously anti-LGBTQ laws that we've ever seen. HB 2 caused national outrage, and because McCrory championed HB 2, he lost his seat as governor of North Carolina. And he lost his seat because LGBTQ people stood up. They organized, they mobilized. There was a bigger turnout effort from LGBTQ people in North Carolina than our country has ever seen before. We can now celebrate our country's first openly LGBTQ governor. Kate Brown was elected governor in Oregon, and she identifies as openly bisexual. Carlos Guillermo Smith, who I actually interviewed when I was in Orlando in the wake of the horrific Pulse attack, became the first openly gay Latino elected to the Florida state legislature. More than 170 LGBTQ people ran for elected positions at all levels of government this cycle, and that is more LGBTQ people running than ever before. And here's some great news. The majority of Americans support the LGBTQ community. The majority of Americans support and believe in marriage equality. That's incredible, and that's because as a community, we mobilized, we organized, we stood up, we shared our stories, we came out, and we created that. We made that cultural change, and it's happened relatively quickly. But now is not the time to go back in the closet or to sit down or to get disillusioned. This is the time to really lean in and fight for rights, because if we continue to unify as a community and raise our voices, we can really fight for change and visibility in this administration and beyond. And remember, one of my favorite quotes from Eleanor Roosevelt, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." For those of you who have come out, think about the hearts and minds that you've changed just by being open and living in your truth. When you put a human face and a human story behind our community or behind an issue, that can really change people's hearts and minds. So now is the time for us to talk to people, to engage with people who don't currently agree with us, and to try to lead with compassion and openness and respect and dignity, just like we want to be treated in our country.